So guys, Bungie has just dropped a huge article going over ability changes coming in the final shape. This is to do with all of our subclasses, and it's a very, very long article. I'm going to break down mostly important stuff, but if you want to read this thing in full, if you have the time for that, you can find a link to it in the description of this video. With all that being said though, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, as it's free to do and it really does help me out here a ton. With that being said, let's go to the top here and read what they have to say. So, a bunch of hellos, updates to a large portion of stasis ability suite, including a new keyword Frost Armor, new future for Well of Radiance and Wall of Dawn in the final shape, a subclass by subclass breakdown of balance changes to abilities, aspects, and fragments, including but not limited to those included with Prismatic. Okay, to start off with stasis here, I'm just going to read the main bullet points here. New Frost Armor keyword. You are fortified by layers of durable stasis matter, reducing incoming damage. Frost Armor damage resistance grows stronger as you gain additional stacks, reduces damage from PvE combatants by 4.5% per stack, and from enemy players by 2% per stack. I guess this then really depends on how high it stacks up. Whisper of Rhyme reworked, no longer grants a stasis shard overshield. When collecting a stasis shard, now increases the maximum duration of stack count of your frost armor. All harvest aspects added new behavior. While Grim, Tectonic, or Glacial Harvest is equipped, stasis shards grant a small amount of health and a stack of frost armor. Large stasis shards from Grim Harvest grant more health and more frost armor stacks. All harvest aspects now have a standardized cooldown when a large number of shards are created very quickly. Tonic Harvest now creates a stasis shard when shattering a frozen target in addition to shattering stasis crystals. New Grasps replaced generic damage resistance with frost armor. On entering your dust-filled grenade volume, you and your allies gain a stack of frost armor every 0.9 seconds. While in the volume, an additional frost armor stack is granted, resetting your timer. Alador's Wrath Weavers replaced Stasis Shard Overshield with Frost Armor when you activate a Rift. Brand new fragment here for Stasis, Whisper of Chill. Stasis Weapon and Final Blows have a chance to create a Stasis Shard. Cool. Whisper of Chains no longer grants passive damage resistance when near a Stasis Crystal or frozen target. Now grants a chance to create a Stasis Shard when defeating a target while you have one or more stacks of Frost Armor. Cool. Whisper of Fractures no longer increases melee energy regeneration while surrounded by enemies and now grants a stack of frost armor when you shatter any frozen target with a melee attack. Whisper of Torment. Grenade energy gains are no longer dependent on your current health value. Base grenade energy regeneration amount per incoming damage event increased from 5% to 7%, so you're just going to be getting more grenade energy. And while you have frost armor, energy per damage event increases from 7 to 12. Pretty good there. Whisper of Reversal. While you have frost armor, dealing or receiving physical melee, not projectile melee damage, slows your victim or attacker. Okay. Stasis Shatter. Increased base PvE shatter damage from 200 to 400, so doubling the damage there. Fixed an issue where bosses auto-shattering were being hit by 2 instances of shatter damage. Fixed an issue where players in an active super would show immune fly-offs when automatically breaking out of stasis freeze. Okay, now we're getting into more in-depth stuff for each of the classes. Ice Flare Bolts for Warlocks increased maximum number of Seekers created before going on cooldown from 5 to 7. That's a good buff there. Winter's Shroud for Hunters added new behavior. Slowing targets briefly increases your class ability regeneration rate. Bonus is reduced in PvP game modes, now grants PvE damage reduction when activated. A Touch of Winter. Glacial Grenade added a additional stasis crystal to the ring formation, increasing the total number from 6 to 7. Glacial Grenade ring now forms over 0.27 seconds rather than instantly. Cold Snap Grenade no longer chains an additional time while Touch of Winter is equipped. Instead, Seekers now duplicate when they freeze a target. Second and third Seekers now create a medium and large stasis crystal respectively, rather than every chain creating a small crystal. Silence and Squall, this is your super. Increased Squall maximum travel speed by 10%. Okay. Squall Storm now slows down when any target is within its area of effect to reduce instances where it could overshoot its target. Increased damage and slow tick rate in PvE by about 40%, bringing its freeze time from approximately 0.8 seconds to 0.5 seconds. Very interesting. Air Force status. Hunter, Titan now, Shiver Strike, increased damage versus PvE combatants by 10%. Increased size of melee target search area cone by about 50%, pretty huge. Increased maximum lunge target angular speed from 7 degrees per second to 21 degrees per second. Glacial Quake now automatically begins sprinting when the player throttles forward. Cryoclasm. Removed sprint time requirement. Cryoclasm now goes on cooldown for 4 seconds after one extended slide. Diamond Lance increased throw Diamond Lance detonation radius from 3.5 meters to 5 meters. Increased Diamond Lance slam detonation radius 6.75 to 8 versus PvE combatants. Diamond Lance now shatters stasis crystals on direct impact. Reduced Diamond Lance's pickup interaction time from that, matching strand tangles, and then same for, yep, okay, a lot of Diamond Lance changes. Next, this is where we get the juice, Wall of Radiance and Ward of Dawn. Okay, let's see what they're actually doing for this. I'm going to read the entire thing because I'm interested. Back in November, we briefly touched on Wall of Radiance and Ward of Dawn and how we are evaluating their place in the sandbox. With the launch of the final shape, we're making some large changes to both these supers to push them in more distinct identities to reduce the fire forge nature of Well of Radiance. Yes. Well of Radiance core fantasy has always been a supercharged healing empowering rift combo, offering a rally point for your fire team during moments of focus. In its current form, its healing and damage resistance offer effective invulnerability, which removes any other defensive options from consideration, on top of providing a sizable boost to your fire team's offensive output. We've chosen to push Well of Radiance further towards that offensive capability by allowing its radiance to persist for a short duration after players leave the well, while also pulling back on its defensive output, both damage resistance and healing rate, by a significant margin. Okay, so Well of Radiance now grants Radiant for 8 seconds when players exit the Well of Radiance area. Reduced player survivability while standing in the Well of Radiance aura. Reduced healing per second from 100 to 50 healing points, matching restoration times 2. Okay, increased health on cast from 40 to 300 health points. Okay, reduced damage resistance versus non-boss combatants from 40 to 20, and reduced damage resistance versus boss combatants from 40 to 10. Note, damage resistance versus enemy players are unchanged. Increased maximum orbs of power from defeating targets while in the Well of Radiance aura from 4 to 5. Okay, not the big changes that I was hoping for Well of Radiance in terms of a nerf, but there is some nerfs here. Definitely going to have to see though how it plays out in the game. Ward of Dawn. Armor of Light, removed Armor of Light overshield. Ward of Dawn now immediately applies a full void overshield to the caster and allies that enter its dome. Armor of Light now instead grants additional damage reduction to players inside of the Ward of Dawn, 30% versus enemy players and 60% versus enemy combatants. Effective health of players inside the Ward of Dawn remains roughly the same as it was before versus PvE combatants. Effective health of players inside the Ward of Dawn is significantly lower than it was before versus other players in PvP, and cannot be further increased by stacking the Bastion Barricade inside of the Ward of Dawn to gain additional overshield layers. Allies near the Wall of Dawn dome now have a Void Overshield trickled on over time, similar to the volume behind a Bastion Barricade. No longer provides weapons of light by default. This behavior has been moved to the benefit of Helm of Saint 14. Ward of Dawn caster can now generate additional orbs of power by defeating enemies with melee attacks in or near their Ward of Dawn dome. Additionally, we've seen that the supers above and burst damage supers in the same tier have increasingly dominated the Crucible landscape due to their uptime. While we do want to maintain some texture across a match when supers become available, the delta is currently a bit too high, specifically in 3v3 game modes. To reduce this a bit, we're making changes to all supers in the final shape. While different types of supers will have different passive recharge times, all supers will now use the same damage base recharges. This means no matter what super you have equipped, dealing a specific amount of damage to a specific enemy type will result in the same amount of super energy gained. Stuff there. Kind of disappointed in the Well and Ward of Dawn changes. Obviously, we don't know how they're going to play out in game. We're just going to have to wait and see what they're like in the final shape. But definitely some nerfs there, so it's not going to be as good, supposedly. Moving on, we have Arc subclasses here. Hunter, your arc staff, heavy palm strike, and heavy air slam blinds enemies now. Disorienting blow, decreased base cooldown time from 100 seconds to 90. Tempest strike added additional damage resistance versus PvE combatants when activated, lingering for a short duration after the attack. Warlock lightning surge added additional damage resistance versus PvE combatants when activated, lingering for a short duration after the attack. Ball lightning increased the final arming shape size by 30%. No idea what that means. Fixed an issue where the arming shape was offset upward higher than the maximum damage range of the projectile's detonation. I'm sure that's great for people who understand that. I have no idea. Chain lightning increased second chain projectile base damage from 27 to 54. Cool stuff there. Titan thunderclap, additional damage resistance versus PvE when active, lingering for a short time after attack. Increase minimum maximum damage versus PvE combatants by 20 and 33%, and players by 14%. Cool stuff there. Knockout, increased bonus damage granted to powerful melee attacks versus PvE combatants from 25 to 50%. Okay. Reworked healing behavior, no longer unstuns health regeneration on melee defeats, now instantly grants a chunk of health that scales with the type of target defeated. Player will give you 30 health, minor combatant 50 health, major 75, and a champion plus will give you 100 health. Okay, Touch of Thunder Storm Grenade, increased tracking speed when targeting PvE combatants by between 0.5 and 1 meter per second, increasing with the storm's lifetime. Touch of Thunder Lightning Grenade now applies Jolt at the first damage event rather than prior. Arc Grenades. Storm Grenade increased damage versus PvE combatants by 20%. Touch of Thunder variant damage is unchanged. Cool. Skip Grenade increased damage by 15%, and Arc Bolt PvE damage also by 15%. Cool stuff. Arc Fragments. Spark of Recharge ability regeneration bonus now persists until the player returns to full shields rather than deactivating as soon as shields begin to recharge. Spark of Beacons now also triggers on defeating targets with arc power weapons while amplified. Spark of Frequency now also grants 15 weapon stability on powered melee hit in addition to its reload benefit. Okay, so got some grenade buffs for arc, which is good. General stuff here, nothing really too game breaking, I don't think. Leave your thoughts on arc. Solar subclass next. Hunter, lightweight knife, now has 2 melee charges by default. Okay, increased throw animation speed by 33%. Okay, reduced suppression time between throws, so both knives can be thrown very quickly back to back. Okay, we're already off to a good start here with Hunter on the Solar subclass. Note, the additional melee charge does not stack with Ophidian Spathe due to the exotic's unique energy recharge behavior. We'll be monitoring this and evaluating how things are playing once this goes live. Knock 'em down, reduced internal cooldown on throwing knife, refund from 1 second to 0.2. Golden gun marksman, reduced strength of orbital powers created on precision hits as follows. When hitting non-boss enemies, reduce strength from 0.75x to 0.5x on a normal super orb. A lot of numbers there. When hitting a boss enemy, reduce the health strength from 0.7 to 0.4 on normal super orbs. When hitting boss enemies with Star Eater scale equipped, reduced strength from 0.75 to 0.35 on normal super orb of power. Okay, last bit, don't really know how it's going to work. I mean, it says that, but like, I need to see how it plays out. It just seems to be less powerful orbs generated. Titan, Consecration, now slam attack and now shatter stasis crystals. Cool. Ignitions generated by Consecration now deal 20% additional damage in PvE. That's insane. Fixed an issue where Consecration Slam attack was sometimes unable to damage floating combatants while they were grounded. Fixed an issue where Consecration's intended PvE damage resistance was not being applied. Hammer of Soul increased projectile submunition count when Soul Invictus is not equipped as followed. If the projectile detonates within the first 0.7 seconds of its lifetime, it now creates 4 shrapnel submunitions up from 3. Detonates after the first 7.7 seconds of its lifetime, now creates 6 up from 5. Note, when Soul Invictus is equipped, only 3 shrapnel submissions are created regardless of flight time. Shrapnel submunitions now deal additional damage when Soul Invictus is not equipped, while the damage increase after the first 0.7 seconds of the projectile's lifetime. Swarm Grenades, increased tracking shape size from 4 meters to 6, increased linger duration 7 to 8 seconds to 10 to 11, increased damage versus PvE combatants by 20. So some good stuff there for Solar For the Hunters and the Titans, they're Warlocks. We ain't getting anything because our Warlock Solar Super is already really good. Let's now go over to Void. Hunters, Snare Bomb, increased linger duration of smoke after detonation from 3 to 5 seconds. Now applies a small damage over time to enemies in the smoke. Increases in strength the longer the enemy remains in the smoke. Interesting there. Trapper's Ambush, increased linger duration of smoke after detonation from 4.5 seconds to 6. Now applies Snare Bomb's damage over time to enemies caught in its smoke. Fix an issue where Trapper's Ambush smoke effects could be obstructed by grounded geometry. Stylish Executioner, weakens effect can now be applied by Glaive melee attack. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. So Glaive Hunters, gonna have fun there. Titan Shield Throw, increased maximum bounce count by 1. Cool, increased maximum lifetime from 3 to 4 seconds. Now increased its tracking shape size strength after each bounce, increasing its ability to consistently find a new target. That's going to be helpful. And slightly increased gravity and decreased thrust speed with each bounce. And it's also getting a 20% damage boost in PP. Good stuff there for Shield Throw enjoyers. Offensive Bulwark can now only extend Void Overshield's timer to its normal maximum duration to prevent an issue where players get into a bad timer state. Now generates a small portion of your active Void Overshield with each melee defeat. Warlocks, Chaos Accelerant, Charged Magnetic Grenade, increased maximum intensity of physics knockback pulse by 10%, increased damage versus PvE patterns by 20%, now passively decreases your magnetic grenade cooldown by 10 while Chaos Accelerant is equipped. Cool stuff there for magnetic grenade. Pocket Singularity, increased PvE damage by 50%. Oh my days, they're actually making that melee ability somewhat decent. Nova Bomb Cataclysm variant, increased Seeker count from 4 to 6. Oh my days, an issue where Seekers could impact the environment on creation. Sane Vortex variant, increased Vortex linger duration 7 to 10 seconds. Fix an issue where linger effects were shutting off early. Good stuff there for Nova Bomb and the other Void subclasses. Very interested in stuff there. Strand. Strand Titans shaking in their boots currently. Thread of Warding, reduced roving mail duration on orbital power pickup from 10 to 5 seconds. Hunter, Ensnaring Slam. Detonation volume versus enemy players is now a cylinder with a 6.5 meter radius rather than a sphere with an 8 meter radius. This results in fewer instances of victims correctly attempting to counterplay by jumping but being caught by the Ensnaring Slam. Detonation high up in the air. Threaded Spike, reduced damage versus enemies from 79 to 70, and catching your threaded spike no longer breaks invisibility. Interesting there. Weaver's Call for Warlocks added new behavior. Okay. Shooting a target with strand damage now has a chance to generate a perched threadling, with a high chance of generating from defeating more powerful targets. This damage can come from any source, including other threadlings. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. So, gonna make threadling builds bit more stronger, which is great. And here it comes, Grapple Tangles and Melee. Grapple Tangles no longer fully refresh their duration when grappled to. Now increased their duration by a max of 5 seconds per grapple, reduced to a max of 1 second added after 5 consecutive grapples to the same grapple angle. Sorry for all of you grapple spam enjoyers. Titan, Into the Fray, reduced melee energy regeneration scalar from 4x to 3x in PvE, unchanged in PvE. Cool Beans, Banner of War, reduced maximum timer from 30 to 24 seconds. Melee, Glaive melee, and super damage bonus have diminishing returns with Synthoceps as followed. Melee damage bonus reduced from 1.4 to 1.15. Glaive decreased from 1.25 to 1.125, and super bonus decreased from 1.4 to 1.2. Melee and Glaive melee damage bonus now have diminishing returns, with Worm God's Caress 2 decreased from 1.4x to 1.1 based on stat count. Glaive decreased from 1.4x to 1.05 based on stat count. And Frenzied Blade reduced the forward offset of melee lunge target point from 0.4 meters to 0.18. Conclusion, that is everything that we have for now. We're extremely excited to see how the next era of Destiny 2 Sandbox unfolds after the launch of the final shape, and we'll be closely monitoring the impact of these changes. As always, keep the feedback coming, and we'll see you next time. So, lot of changes there. Some of them we will have to just wait and see how they play out. A lot of numbers to break through, and probably smarter people are already understanding this way better than I am. But the main things seem to be that those of you who like to spam grapple tangle melees won't be able to do that as effectively anymore. Void getting good buffs, same with Arc. Solar, Warlock, Wall of Radiance hopefully will be a lot worse. And Wall of Dawn might be a little bit better or worse. Don't really know the state of Wall of Dawn. But leave your thoughts on this in the comment section down below as always. This is quite a long one, so I apologize for that, but it was a very big article. Once again, if you want to read everything for yourself, including the minute details, you can find this linked in the description. But that is everything here for you guys today. Tomorrow we have more articles and a Vidoc coming out. There'll be a lot more to talk about then, but for now, that is it. So if you've enjoyed as always, remember, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.